there's a lot of stuff I've said before, there's so much stuff going on in the Trump administration, stuff like that. I'm not going to cover it all, but from time to time, stuff happens like this, and I'm like, okay, there's no way there's not going to be consequences from this. And for those of us who remember the first Trump administration, by this time, we had already reached quite a prolific firing rate, last time. This time, however, they're all loyalists who want to stay in and aren't disagreeing with Trump. They are all like, yes, 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 we are on board. However, at the moment, there are now moves apparently to get rid of Pete Hegseth because Trump considers him now not to be performing and to be pretty much an embarrassment. So expect Hegseth to be making an exit at some point in the future. There is also Elon Musk, who's now saying he's going to leave. In what way, in how that departure will work, we don't know, but I can see it very, very much incoming, especially now if you've heard about what has been described as a WWE match in the West Wing. Like, that's how it got described by the people who overheard this, that they thought it was like a WWE match was going on. That's how loud and how bad this confrontation got on. And this was between Elon Musk and Scott Besson. And oh boy, this is going to have some sort of consequence down the line because they were apparently arguing about who is going to replace the guy at the Fed. Elon Musk apparently wants to put one of his cronies from Doge in there, which, given how important it is being like head of the Fed, the last thing you want is one of Elon Musk's cronies in there. So, as I've said before, that whole conversation in about a year's time, and whoever Trump picks, is going to do a lot of damage to America. Oh boy, are they going to do some damage? But in the meantime, we're going to cover this wrestling match that took place in the West Wing. Everyone's talking about it because this is going to have, I think, repercussions down the line, but maybe even certainly, maybe more of a reflection, shall we say, of things to come in the future, because Trump has now passed his 100-day mark. There is rumors that stuff that everyone is like, playing politics, being nice to the king, and that maybe the honeymoon period in the White House, or at least, shall we say, between everyone who's come into the White House, is starting to get a bit fractious, that they're starting to get on each other's nerves. And then this is where, like I say, things like this start to happen. And it's like, well, okay, this has happened now. What happens next? Who has the next big WWE-style fight in the White House? But anyway, we'll go into this because this is just fascinating. It's just honestly, it's too good not to cover. But before we do continue, please do remember to click on the like, the share button. There's the Patreon page, there's the Buy Me Coffee link, there's the YouTube thank you button, and of course, as always, there's the Pony Club down below as well. So let's crack on then into this. Coming from The Independent, Elon Musk. There we go. Elon Musk and Scott Besson had a very loud shouting match in the West Wing. It was like two billionaire middle-aged men thinking it was WWE. Oh dear. So, the world's wealthiest man and the man tasked with trying to keep the world's strongest economy on the rails amid Donald Trump's trade war got into what observers have described as a professional wrestling style shouting match over who would now be placed in charge of the Internal Revenue Service last week. So, oh boy, it is going to be insane who gets this. So, according to Axios, this heated argument between Musk and Treasury Secretary Scott Besson happened after Musk made an end of run made an end of run around the Treasury boss to have a Trump installed, now a former IRS agent who leaked details about former President Biden's son's taxes atop of the tax collecting agency as now a temporary commissioner until Trump can actually pick someone to lead now as a confirmed then by the Senate. This then dispute was then prompted by Musk pushing now Trump to appoint Gary Shipley, the anti-Biden whistleblower. But Bessent, whose department encompasses the IRS, had wanted now his deputy, Michael Faulkner, to be the acting commissioner pending the confirmation hearing for the Missouri Congressman Billy Long in the role. The argument then blew up during a meeting between the two wealthy Trump officials in the West Wing, at which point F-bombs started to fly. Again, I just can't believe they got into this argument. But there's a lot of stuff about how Musk wants this guy in, because he can do things for Musk, like maybe stop any lawsuits that might be happening, or things like that. So there's a lot of, should we say, stuff being said about why Musk wants his guy in instead of this one. So then the normally mild-mannered Bessent aggressively started confronting Musk. One witness said it was quite a scene and very loud, while a third described the blow-up as a two billionaire middle-aged men thinking that it was WWE in the hall of the West Wing. According to then Axios, Bessent then threw barbs at Musk regarding now the lackluster nature of the alleged savings uncovered by his Department of Government efficient cost-cutting efficiency. So remember, big plan of Trump was they're going to cut all this, quote, waste and stuff and, all these savings by Doge. And then they were going to bring in these big tax cuts. But you cannot afford these tax cuts if you can't afford them. Otherwise, it's not going to work out very well for you. And that is something that could, do we say, upset a lot of fiscal Republicans, which Trump has already had a couple of run-ins already with wanting to raise the debt ceiling. So there is a lot of stuff going around, at the moment of what repercussions this could have going down the line. And this is where it starts to get even more interesting. So in response, Musk claimed that the extremely successful investor who created the Key Software Group after a fund investment after a career with the Soros Fund Management was then a Soros agent. Yes, remember, George Soros is like the big boogeyman of most of these people's dreams. Oh my God, what is George Soros doing? How did this happen? Must be George Soros. This is now, of course, a reference to a very widespread anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that posits the investor and Democratic Party donor, George Soros, is now a shadow puppet master controlling much of the American political left. Like I say, anything, the slightest thing that happened and someone in the right in America is like, George Soros must be doing this. Anyway, the shouting then between the two men became so heated that a White House aide reportedly then had to separate them, saying that there was no, they were not, of course, physical in the Oval, but the president saw it. And then they carried it very much down the hall, and that's when they did it again, said one witness. Another source, now familiar with the dispute between Musk and Bessent, said that there is no love lost between the two men, dating all the way back to when Musk successfully fought for Trump to appoint the ex-Cantor Fitzgerald CEO Howard Lutnick to the Treasury role. Trump, who, of course, had a longtime friend of Lutnick after later appointing him to run the Department of Commerce, after shrugging off Musk's lobbying and choosing Bessent then to run the Treasury Department. An ally of the Treasury Secretary later told Axios that Besant, quote, can't stand Musk, who is expected to, of course, step back from his unpaid role atop Doge after months of controversy, during which the Tesla stock price and, of course, the profitability have plummeted, while the CEO has been a constant presence at the president's side. This goes pretty deep and pretty far back, but he is acting like a grown-up about it, they said. The White House, of course, is not denying this blow-up occurred while Press Secretary Carol Levitt was issuing a statement in which she said there was no secret that Trump has put together a team of people who are incredibly passionate about the issues impacting our country. So much so that they go out and have what is described here as a WWE shouting match. Disagreements are, of course, a normal part of any key healthy political process, and ultimately everyone knows they are here to serve at the pleasure of Trump, Levitt added. Oh boy. Yeah. This could go in a very interesting way, but needs to say, I think there could be some repercussions of this, because it goes to show you that last time when we saw all that chaos breaking out hasn't been replicated this time. But that is because they're all sycophants. They're all Trump loyalists. But because they are, doesn't mean they like each other. And there have been a few reports about them now starting to rub up against each other. They're starting to, be, on edge with each other. They all don't like Elon Musk, but apparently they're waiting for Musk to go. And then, who knows? I think you could see further incidents like this happening. But, oh boy, it was just too good, honestly, not to cover. But as always, let me know what you think the consequences of this are going to be. Is it just a storm in a teacup, or is it a sign of things to come? Let me know in the comments down below. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.